Hi, my name is Justin DeLong, and I'm a voice teacher and music director in the worlds of musical theater and contemporary commercial music. There's a lot of information about breathing out there. What's the right way to breathe? How are you supposed to be breathing for singing? And the truth is, it depends. Many people are taught specific ways to breathe in choir or in classical voice lessons, but breathing for movement and dancing is going to be different from choral singing when you're standing in place. Breathing is even going to be different when you're wearing certain kinds of shoes, like heels. And then, depending on how high that heel is, that may affect how you are carrying yourself and your body, and that will then, in turn, affect your breathing. So, let's get into it. You probably heard that you are supposed to breathe through your diaphragm. What this refers to is abdominal breathing, because you actually cannot anatomically breathe through your diaphragm. The diaphragm is a dome-shaped muscle that's very thin, that's at the bottom of your rib cage and separates your lungs above from your liver, stomach, etc. beneath. So it's not along the front of your belly or your abdomen, as you might think. It is that thin dome-shaped muscle inside that kind of comes in through here. You have no conscious control over this muscle. If you're breathing, it's moving. You can consciously release your abdominal wall to allow your belly to expand, and this style of breathing is really helpful in certain applications. Western European classical singing is one. Many choral traditions utilize this. You might use it if you're doing Golden Age musical theater repertoire. But when it comes to pop rock, R&B, contemporary musical theater, and singing while dancing, it's not going to be as helpful. There are two big reasons for this. The first is something called tracheal pull. Your diaphragm is attached to the bottom of your lungs. Your lungs are attached to the bronchioles, which is attached to your trachea, which is attached to your larynx. When you take that low diaphragmatic breath, you release your abdominal wall, and that diaphragm pulls your lungs down to expand that direction. When this happens, there's a slight pull that happens on the bronchioles and your trachea, and because your larynx is attached to it, it pulls your larynx down a little bit. When you are engaging in a high energy singing, if there is high mixed belts happening, your larynx actually needs to be able to lift and tilt in order to help produce those sounds. So if that breath you're taking is pulling your larynx down a little bit and it's trying to raise to help you create those sorts of sounds, we get a little bit of fighting that happens there. The other reason why a low abdominal release kind of breath might not be helpful is because your core is busy doing something else. You're running around the stage during your concert. You're executing choreography in a musical. You're holding yourself upright using those core muscles. They're not able to relax and expand, or allow for that expansion, rather, during that time. So, we've got to find other ways to breathe. For our purposes, in contemporary musical theater, commercial music, and dancing while singing, I recommend a thoracic breath, or a rib cage expansion kind of breath. Now, everyone's body is different. This may not help you in all applications for all kinds of repertoire, or maybe it just doesn't feel right to you in your body. That's okay. However, I encourage you to give it a shot because, in my experience, this has helped a lot of performers, especially in the context of dancing. So let's go ahead and practice this together. I want you to take just a couple regular breaths. Notice for you, where in your body does the air want to go? It is always going to go to your lungs, but where does your body like to make room for it? Does the chest, thoracic, ribcage breath happen naturally for you? Does a lower abdominal release breath happen more naturally for you? Or do you feel something a little more up in your shoulders? Wherever you feel it, notice it. There's nothing good or bad about it. We're just noticing where it likes to sit, just naturally, without you doing anything to change it. Next, I'd like you to take your hands and gently place them on your rib cage, and try to imagine the air going into your hands. Your rib cage looks a little bit like this, and if you are taking these rib cage thoracic breaths, it's going to kind of open out to the sides. It's going to expand out to the sides a little bit, You may feel a little expansion forwards or up. You may feel a little bit of expansion in the back even. All of these things are great. So try to imagine that expansion happening in the rib cage. Another way to think is maybe can you breathe like underneath your armpits? See what that feels like. Try using this method of breathing while you are practicing the music you're going to be performing, even without the choreography. Doing this while you're learning the music and treating it like another part of the music, like another note, rhythm, or lyric that you're learning, will allow your brain to associate these things together while you're learning to help make this more automatic for you in the future. So give this a shot and let me know how it goes. Break a leg.